Life moves fast. Here's what I learned after 70 years. Have you ever just been sitting there, maybe driving home or lying in bed, and it suddenly hits you? Where did the time even go? I remember being in my 30s, juggling a young family and a career, feeling like it would last forever. And then you blink. You just blink, and suddenly you're looking back at 70 years of life. It goes by in a heartbeat. But in all that time, you pick up a thing or two. You learn what actually matters, and what fades away. You see the pattern. And if I could go back and tell my younger self just a few of those lessons, well, I think it would have changed a lot. So if you've ever felt like life is moving a little too fast, and you want to find a way to grasp what's truly important, you're in the right place. Let's talk. It's the strangest thing. This trick that time plays on all of us. When you're in the thick of it, those exhausting days with young children, the grueling hours at a new job, the stress of just trying to make it all work, the days can feel incredibly long. You find yourself watching the clock, waiting for nap time to end or for the workday to be over, thinking this phase will never pass. But then, you turn around and those long days have condensed into a single fleeting memory. The years, in hindsight, are impossibly short. It's the greatest contradiction of life. The days are long, but the years are short. I remember someone once tried to explain it to me with math, of all things. They said that when you're 5 years old, 1 year is a whopping 20% of your entire existence. It's this massive, sprawling thing that seems to take forever to unfold. But when you're 50, that same year is just 2% of your life. It's a smaller slice of the whole pie, so it feels like it goes by in a fraction of the time. It makes sense on paper, but you don't really feel the truth of it until you're on the other side, looking back at the sheer volume of life you've lived and wondering how it all happened so fast. I think the real thief of time, though, is the constant doing. We are so preoccupied with the checklist of life. Get the degree, get the job, get the house, climb the ladder, schedule the activities, maintain the home, that we forget to just be. We are human beings, not human doings, but we live like it's the other way around. We're so focused on capturing the perfect photo for social media that we forget to actually live inside the moment we're trying to capture. We're planning the next vacation while we're on the current one, worrying about tomorrow's meeting while we're eating dinner with our family. We are never fully where our feet are, and because of that, time becomes a blur of activity without texture or depth. It just slides right through our fingers. I can tell you the exact feeling of this. For me, it was my daughter's childhood. It feels like 1 minute I was tying shoelaces and packing lunchboxes, reading bedtime stories, and waiting for the school bus in the morning. The house was constantly filled with noise, laughter, sometimes tears, the chaos of toys everywhere. It was exhausting, and I'll admit there were days I wished for a little more quiet. And then, seemingly overnight, the quiet arrived. The toys were gone, the laughter moved to their own homes, and all that remains are the memories in this house. That entire period of my life, which felt so all-consuming and permanent at the time, now feels like it was over in the blink of an eye. It's the clearest proof I have that life's most precious phases are often the ones that feel the most demanding in the moment, and the most fleeting in the rearview mirror. The top lessons learned in 70 years. If there's one thing I wish I could have truly understood in my bones from the very beginning, it's that the things we chase so relentlessly often aren't the things that end up mattering. We pour our energy into building careers, accumulating possessions, and checking off societal milestones, believing that's the scorecard of a life well lived. But when you get to my age, you don't sit on the porch rocking chair reminiscing about that brilliant quarterly report you delivered in 1987 or the fancy car you once owned. You reminisce about the people. You remember the uncontrollable laughter around a dinner table, the comfort of a hand held in silence during a hard time, the way the light caught your child's face on a simple afternoon walk. Those moments are the real currency of a life. They are the only wealth you get to take with you in your heart. So nurture those connections fiercely. Be the first to say I love you. Be quick to forgive, because holding on to grudges is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. It only corrodes your own precious time. And on that note, please don't fall into the trap of postponing your joy. I certainly did. I told myself for years, I'll be happy when I finally get that promotion. And then, I'll be happy when we move into the bigger house. And later, I'll be happy when I finally retire. You end up constantly living in a future that never quite arrives, and you miss the beautiful present that is right in front of you. Happiness isn't a destination you reach after achieving a certain goal. It's a manner of traveling. It's in the warmth of a good cup of coffee in the morning silence, the feeling of the sun on your skin during a walk, the shared smile with a stranger. It's the small, seemingly insignificant moments that, when stacked together, form a truly happy life. Don't delay your joy for some perfect future that doesn't exist. Find it today, right where you are. And the vehicle for all of this joy, for all of these experiences, is your health. It's so easy to take it for granted when you're young. You feel invincible, and you burn the candle at both ends, thinking you can always fix it later. But your body and mind are the only permanent homes you have. You get one. Neglecting them is like refusing to maintain the foundation of your own house, and then being surprised when it starts to crumble. It's not about vanity or chasing some impossible ideal. It's about functionality and joy. It's about being able to get down on the floor to play with your grandchildren without pain and having the energy to enjoy your days. Move your body in ways that feel good. Feed it food that nourishes you. And for heaven's sake, prioritize sleep. And your mental health is just as critical. Tend to your mind with the same care you'd give a beloved garden. Pull the weeds of negative self-talk and water the seeds of peace and contentment. It is your greatest asset, and by the time you truly understand that, it's often much harder to reclaim. You will also inevitably face setbacks and what you will, in the moment, call failures. I certainly have. Early in my career, I invested everything, time, money, hope, into a business venture that I was sure would be my big break. It failed spectacularly. I felt humiliated, lost, and I was convinced that this single event defined me as a failure. But with time, I realized it was just data. It wasn't a verdict on my character or my potential. It was simply information. It taught me about my own resilience, about the market, about partnerships. It closed one door, but it forced me to look for another one that led me to a path I never would have found otherwise. Most decisions are not permanent life sentences. Don't let the fear of making a wrong choice paralyze you into making no choice at all. Make the best decision you can with the information you have, and trust that you are resilient enough to handle the outcome, whatever it may be. Through all of it, please try to lead with kindness. It costs nothing, and yet it is priceless. You truly never know what battle someone is fighting. The grumpy cashier might be grieving a profound loss. The impatient driver might be rushing to a sick child. The quiet coworker might be battling immense anxiety. Everyone is carrying a weight you can't see. A little bit of grace and a simple act of kindness, a smile, a patient ear, a small compliment, can be a lifeline to someone who is drowning. And that kindness has a ripple effect that goes far beyond a single moment. It changes the atmosphere of a room, it lifts a spirit, and it often comes back to you when you need it most. It is never, ever wasted. Finally, you must define success for yourself. It is so easy to look around, especially now with social media, and see everyone else's highlight reel. You see the promotions, the perfect vacations, the seemingly flawless families, and you compare it to your own behind-the-scenes reality, with its messy rooms and doubts and ordinary struggles. It's a recipe for misery. The only person you should be in competition with is the person you were yesterday. Ask yourself honestly, is the life I am building aligned with my own deepest values, or am I chasing a version of success that was defined for me by my parents, my culture, or my peers? A life lived on someone else's terms is a life half lived. Your path is uniquely yours. Walk it with intention, and don't worry about the speed or route of the travelers on the road beside you. When you get to be my age, you end up in conversations with your peers, and the topic of regret often comes up. It's a natural part of looking back over the long arc of a life. And what's fascinating is how similar our regrets are. They are rarely about the things we did, the mistakes we made, the embarrassing moments, the paths that led to dead ends. Those are all stories we tell, lessons we learn. They become part of our fabric. No, the regrets that truly linger, the ones that have a real weight to them even decades later, are almost always about the things we didn't do. The silence where there should have been speech. The stillness where there should have been a step forward. It's the job opportunity in another city that we didn't take because we were too comfortable or too scared of the unknown. It's the heartfelt apology we held back because our pride felt more important in the moment. It's the friendship we let fade away because we were too busy and assumed there would always be more time to reconnect. It's the trip we postponed, the instrument we never learned to play, the I love you that stayed stuck in our throat. We think we are playing it safe by choosing the path of least resistance, by avoiding potential failure or rejection. But in reality, we are risking something far more valuable, the richness of our own experience. We are trading a story for a sigh. The common thread running through every single one of these regrets is fear. Fear of failure, fear of what others might think, fear of being uncomfortable, fear of the outcome not matching our expectation. It's a powerful emotion, one that feels protective in the moment, but is ultimately a thief. It robs you of experiences that could have shaped you, of joy you could have felt, of connections you could have made. The funny thing about fear is that the anticipation of doing something is almost always far worse than the reality of actually doing it. The courage comes not from the absence of fear, but from deciding that the potential reward is worth feeling the fear and doing it anyway. So if I can offer one piece of advice to counter this, it's this: lean into your curiosity. Be bold in the pursuit of what lights you up. Practice saying yes more often when an opportunity for a new experience presents itself, even if it feels a little uncomfortable. That doesn't mean being reckless, but it does mean consciously choosing to push back against that voice of hesitation that so often says no on your behalf. That voice isn't you. It's just a habit, and habits can be broken. The moments I am most proud of, the stories I love to tell, almost always came from a decision to feel the fear and say yes anyway. They are the foundation of a life with no room for the haunting question, I wonder what would have happened if. Don't let a life of potential stories turn into a library of silent regrets.